Right. Here's what everyone's missing about Glasgow beating Toulouse 28-21. This isn't just an upset. It's a seismic shift in European rugby. When you come back from 21-0 down against a near test-strength Toulouse side featuring Dupont, Flamant, and Ramos and score 28 unanswered points in the second half, that's not luck, that's evolution. And here's my bold prediction. This Glasgow performance proves Scotland will finish top 2 in the Six Nations. Mark my words.
Adrian, you've completely lost your mind.
Have I, though? Have I really?
Welcome to Rugby Rundown. I'm Gavin, and that delusional optimist you just heard is Adrian. We're diving deep into the winter rugby chaos that's turned the Six Nations picture completely upside down. Today's big question, does European club form actually predict international success, or are we reading tea leaves?
And I'm telling you, Gavin, it absolutely does. The data doesn't lie.
The data? Adrian, one comeback doesn't make a trend. Let's break down this Glasgow result properly. Yes, scoring 28 unanswered points against Toulouse is remarkable, but you're extrapolating one match into a Six Nations title challenge that sounds like pure fantasy.
Fantasy? Look beyond the scoreline, Gavin. The Glasgow pack, Xander Fagerson, Jack Dempsey, they physically overwhelmed Toulouse's forwards in the final 20 minutes. That's conditioning superiority. Franco Smith's conditioning programs have produced forwards who can outlast bigger French packs.
Okay, the conditioning argument has merit, I'll give you that.
And then there's Sione Tuipulotu. His performance was absolutely dominant. That try where he beat 3 defenders proves he's one of the premier ball carriers in Europe. This confirms the Scottish midfield can operate as a blunt force weapon, not just a distribution hub.
Right, but here's where your argument falls apart. You're cherry-picking one European result. The broader tactical picture shows completely different playing styles. The URC is all structured phase play and defensive density, teams grinding through 20-plus phases to win penalties.
Exactly. That's exactly why Scotland will succeed.
Meanwhile, the Premiership has become this chaotic, high-scoring circus. Look at the score lines. 66-21, 43-17. It's entertaining, but defensively fragile. When England try to impose that chaos on Ireland's Leinster drill defense, they'll get systematically dismantled.
But that's my point. Glasgow showed defensive resilience, holding a Toulouse backline with Capozzo and Dupont scoreless for 40 minutes. That indicates structural solidity in the Scottish system that's been lacking at test level.
All right, I'll concede Glasgow looked defensively solid, but let's talk about the real game changer here. Tom Curry's situation. This is absolutely devastating for England.
Oh, the hip condition. Yeah, that's massive for England's breakdown work.
He's 27 years old, diagnosed with an incurable condition, limited to roughly 20 games per season, 0 to minimal training load. His breakdown work was England's foundation. Without that 80-minute intensity, their defensive structure collapses at the contact area,
which creates space for Scotland. England's vulnerability at the breakdown is Scotland's opportunity. And Ireland? They've got their own crisis brewing. Mac Hansen's foot surgery, Hugo Keenan racing the clock.
Ireland's back three is definitely concerning.
Without Hansen's roaming playmaker ability and Keenan's aerial security blanket, Ireland's attack becomes one-dimensional. They'll still have that Leinster defensive stranglehold, but they lose their X-factor finishing threats.
But you're forgetting France. They're still the overwhelming favorites. The sheer volume of elite players performing at the highest level in the top 14, Toulouse, Bordeaux, La Rochelle, it's just too much depth for anyone to match.
But here's the thing about France. That depth comes with a massive caveat. Attrition, Gavin. The heavy reliance on star players during the holiday period is a ticking time bomb.
What do you mean exactly?
Dupont, fresh from ACL injury, immediately thrust into high-intensity minutes. The lack of rotation in the top 14 Boxing Day period increases burnout risk before the Six Nations begins. And Romain Ntamac's situation is still opaque. Knee surgery, questionable match fitness.
The Ntamak uncertainty is definitely a factor for them.
If Gaultier starts Thomas Ramos at 10 instead of Ntamak, it completely changes France's attacking dynamic, from fluid distribution to kicking-heavy pragmatism. Scotland's defensive structure can handle that approach.
Look, let me paint you the realistic picture. France are still favorites despite the fatigue concerns. Ireland will beat Wales, Italy, and probably Scotland through sheer structural superiority, even without their aerial threats.
Probably Scotland, probably?
Fine. Scotland's the wild card. Highest variance team in the tournament. If Finn Russell's Bath form clicks with Tuipulotu's Glasgow dominance, they could beat anyone on their day. But consistently, over 5 rounds? That's the question.
And Russell is the key. His game management against Exeter, orchestrating a 33-phase attack without panicking, that's composure under fire that no other fly half in the competition is showing right now.
Russell is brilliant, absolutely. But England shouldn't be written off completely. Borthwick's got serious weapons, Lawrence hitting peak form, Faye Waboso looking electric despite the injury scare. The question is whether they can impose their chaotic style on structured defenses.
But without Curry's 80-minute breakdown intensity, England become defensively vulnerable. Look at Harlequins conceding 43 points to Sale. That's what happens when your defensive structure lacks that breakdown menace.
Right. Let's get to predictions then. Quick fire time. I'll go first. France wins the title, but it's closer than expected due to fatigue. Ireland second, struggling without their back three X factors. Scotland third, they have a good tournament but fall just short of your wild predictions.
Wrong on all counts. France wins, yes, but Scotland finishes second. They beat Ireland at Murrayfield. That Glasgow pack dominates at the breakdown. Russell controls the tempo. England fourth, dangerous but fragile. They'll score tries but leak points.
And the basement battle?
Italy fifth. Benetton's URC form suggests they'll be organized and competitive. Wales get the wooden spoon. All the indicators point that way. Regional form, Morgan's injury, leadership crisis. The gap between Welsh regions and the rest has widened significantly.
One thing we absolutely agree on, Wales are in serious trouble. The data fully supports that. Heavy defeats in Europe, Morgan's absence, poor regional form. It paints a picture of a system in free fall.
Exactly. Finally, some common ground.
Final bold predictions then. Adrian?
Scotland beats Ireland at Murrayfield, finishes second in the Six Nations, and Glasgow's European heroics prove to be the paradigm shift for Scottish rugby. The winter form doesn't lie. They're ready to disrupt the established order.
Mine? This tournament will be decided by which nation best manages the physical toll of the modern club game. France's depth gives them the edge, but player welfare concerns and injury management will determine who challenges them. It's going to be the most attritional Six Nations in years.
Can't wait to see who's right. This tournament is going to be absolutely electric.
That's Rugby Rundown for this week. I'm Gavin, he's the eternally optimistic Adrian, and we'll be back to see how these predictions pan out. Subscribe, rate, review, and tell your mates, especially if they think Scotland are finishing second in the Six Nations.
Because they absolutely are. Glasgow has shown the way forward. Until next time, keep believing, rugby fans.